one of those days where Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaye Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karne Vishuniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Shushtvagam Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitayadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridhashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarkshyo arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Tasmai Sahovacha Pitamahascha
Tasmai Sahovacha Pitamahascha
Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yoga Davehi
Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yoga Davehi.
Shraddha, Bhakti and Dhyana. These three are prescribed as the means for what Arshavidyalaya wanted to know. Arshavidyalaya wanted to know that Brahma Vidyaya, Achirat Sarva Papam Vyapohya, Parat Param Purusham Yati Vidvan. He wanted to know what about Brahma Vidya, gaining which one gains Parat Param Purusham. And Brahmaji simply says, by these three methods that are available, Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana, you can gain, these are instruments, methods, sadhana. One of the words we looked at in the last class, Shraddha, very often misunderstood word. We use this word Shraddha normally in our day-to-day language to mean a lot of things. When a child goes to the first standard, there is Shraddha in the teacher. That's how we use that expression. So much so, the child comes back home and the parents correct something the child is doing wrong. Child does not accept. Because my teacher told me so. The teacher may be a BA pass. The mother may be a double PhD. What the mother says, the child does not accept. Because there is what we generally call Shraddha in the teacher. Is it the same kind of Shraddha that we are talking about here? Shraddha in the Shastra and Shraddha in how the Guru unfolds the words of the Shastra. Yesterday, some people here, Anand and all that, we were having a little discussion on this. How to understand Shraddha. We often use the expression Shraddha is not faith. So what is faith then? Faith is simply believing what is told. Shraddha is the other extreme, understanding what is told. A big difference and the big scale there. When you say Shraddha, and we use the word exclusively for this application of understanding the Shastra. When you have faith in what the religious leader says, I'm not opposed to it. He says, if you follow what I tell you to do, then after death, all religions are after death, you will go to so-and-so place where you will have everything you like. What do you like? I like Alfonso mango. Ratnagiri Alfonso mango. That Ratnagiri Alfonso mango doesn't grow anywhere else. If you follow what I tell you to do, after death, you will go to so-and-so place where your house will be surrounded by Ratnagiri Alfonso trees. This doesn't work. What you like may change over time. That Ratnagiri Alfonso mango that you liked, for which he said, you do this, I will take you to a place where Ratnagiri Alfonso mango grows after your death. In a few years' time, you discover another fruit. Ratnagiri mango, Alfonso mango is okay, but the fruit I like is durian. I have now developed a taste for durian. Now, will I get durian in the place where you're going to take me after my death? So that is simply belief. It will change. Till it changes, it becomes a point of argument. When somebody else points out to him that this may not be true, you're willing to take cudgels against. No, how can you say that? And one gets very assertive. It's not assertive, very simple. We get aggressive about it. You've got to be correct. Because there's no backing. At the other end of the extreme scale, there is Shraddha, where I have Shraddha in the words of the Shastra as unfolded by the Guru. And there are also definitions we've seen of what kind of Guru. Now, this goes many times against what I have already arrived at as a conclusion. Despite this contradiction, I am willing to accept that there is something right there. Shastra says, you are Ishvara. I know I am not Ishvara. Somewhere there is a mismatch. Despite that mismatch, I am willing to accept because Shastra is a pramana. How did I arrive at the fact that I am not Ishvara? I have used the pramana that I have to assess that there are many, many more people who have much greater strength than I have, much greater intellect than I have, much greater knowledge than I have. Therefore, I am limited. A clear evidence of the fact that I am not Ishvara. But here is another pramana. Remember, this is the key thing to the whole understanding. A pramana in which I have Shraddha, which says, you are Ishvara. Now, this contradiction I have to resolve. I know I am not Ishvara. I am not omniscient. I am not omnipotent. I am not all knowledge. This I have established over the years. And there are enough people around me who make sure that I know that I'm limited. I'm Alpa. Starting from school teachers to parents to friends. Hey, what do you know? Enough people to tell me I don't know. Enough people may tell me I don't have strength. Enough people tell me I don't have intellect or knowledge or whatever. So I have established that I am not all-knowing, all-Shakti. And yet, this Shastra, which is my pramana, which says you are that Ishvara, which is all knowledge, all Shakti. So despite this difference, I still have Shraddha. I want to find out why and how. The difference between that faith and this is, I know there is a difference. I have to make the effort to understand how to reconcile the difference. So here is a question of understanding. That is why in Shastra, everywhere it says ask. Pariprashnena. You are not to accept simply because the words are there of the Shastra, simply because the teacher says so. You question, you debate. But you can do that only if you go to the attitude that what I'm understanding is from a pramana, from a means of knowledge. Otherwise, the questioning will become of different type. My questioning will become one to try and pick holes. Then I'm never going to be able to see the truth. So Shraddha has these 4 factors. It is because I accept pramana. Shastra is a pramana. I accept that there is a huge difference, perhaps diametrically opposite contradiction between what I think I know and what the Shastra says. And I know that it is for me to understand the difference and how to accept or reconcile the difference. Faith at the other end of the spectrum is nothing like this. I accept because it is said by somebody in whom I have belief, I have faith. In between this, there is a whole lot of spectrum. What about a school teacher? Where we in common language say the child has Shraddha. Look at the differences. The child goes to school with the knowledge that I don't know, not with the knowledge that I know. In Shraddha in the Shastra, I know I am not all knowledge, I am not all Shakti. The child goes to school saying, I don't know, I want to know. Big difference. He who knows not and knows he knows not is a child, can be taught. So the child accepts the teacher as knowledge. And anything the teacher says is, there also we use in common expression, Vedavak. Because the teacher said so. It reminds me, here in Arshavidyalaya, we have one young boy who comes, 9-year-old boy, who comes to do puja. He's been coming for the last some months now. And he is so taken by Gita Ma. Every day she makes prasadam for him, for everybody. And he has prasadam. One day he found that there was a little more salt than, very sharp at this. He immediately finds out there's more salt. And he says, today somebody has come and put more salt in the prasadam. He does not want to accept that Gita Ma could have put more salt and made it bad. That is Shraddha. The way we use it normally. That way, the same way with the teacher. The teacher says so, I have Shraddha because I don't know and I want to know. There is another difference. The teacher says, that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Child accepts. It is said in the book, and the teacher told me so. You cannot easily change him or her. But what happens later? This is accepted pending future verification. There is verification later. So what the teacher says is not pramana. It is a source of knowledge because I go there saying I don't know, and anybody gives me, I absorb like a sponge. That's what children do. That's why it is said, with children, be very careful what you say and what you do. So the child accepts it, pending verification later. Later, the child finds out, when it goes higher classes, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west is not a true statement. It is because the earth rotates. It does not reject the teacher. There is another case, for example, the teacher says the earth is round. Child accepts. The earth is round. If the teacher teaches that the earth is flat, the child will accept that also. Pending verification. Later, other inputs come in and either accept that the earth is round or reject that the earth is flat. Then in the spectrum, there are many other levels as well. And the other most common example is going to a doctor. I know my body in the way it functions, but I don't know how each function takes place. I go to the doctor hoping that he knows much more than I do. I don't know all the chemicals and how they react to my body. We go to the doctor hoping that he prescribes a certain medicine, which is all chemical, and says that this will help you with this. So the doctor prescribes something, we take it with Shraddha in the way it is used in our day-to-day language. Doctor says, your blood sugar, it's higher than it should be, I give you a metformin. Now, the fact is, as we discover later, that doctor has studied something of anatomy, has studied something of the way these chemicals react to the anatomy. But the very science itself we discover is still evolving. Till then, we accept the doctor. The doctor himself, having studied all this and having practiced for a number of years, comes to further conclusions. He studied all that. He's been attending conferences, updating himself, etc. But he also sees, because he's seen thousands of patients with the same sugar condition, he comes to a certain conclusion about what is right, what is not right. The fact is that in a thing like medicine, it is not only the doctor. There is a general value of how these things react in the body, but there's also individual mind. If I take the medicine with skepticism, the chances are the medicine will not work. Same person. Whether it is allopathic medicine or acupressure or whatever other methodology that is there, Ayurveda. If I am convinced, if I have Shraddha, again, use word the way we use it on a daily basis, then it will work better. That's what they call the placebo effect. So it is neither Shraddha nor faith. I was telling in the discussion yesterday that when we built Arshavidyalaya, we had a structural engineer come and do some studies to see what kind of place it is, what kind of structure we should have. We trust him because he has studied that subject. I don't know enough about the subject. Structural strength, I don't know enough. He comes and says, this place is in a seismic zone. Some category A, B, C, D, something. Therefore, where if I would have recommended certain structural strength for the building, I am recommending you have 50% more. The fact is, there has never been an earthquake in the known history of this place. But there is a certain confidence in the fact that he studied the subject, he's looked at all the data, and he's recommending. Therefore, what we did was we used more cement and more steel than would normally have been used. Where we would have used 12 gauge steel, we used 16 gauge steel. Boosted up the cost enormously. That is also not Shraddha. But in loose terms, we say we have Shraddha in his knowledge. But the whole scale of Shraddha. But the Shraddha that he's talking about here is Shraddha in the words of the Shastra as unfolded by a Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru. There, all these factors come in. That is the acceptance of a pramana. Once you accept it's a pramana, and the criteria for deciding why it's a pramana, then all you have to do is allow the pramana to operate. No effort is involved other than bringing oneself to a shravanam. That's all there is. So that pramana acceptance is most critical issue in Shraddha. Two, I also have enough intellect to understand that what I think I know, my conclusions, my inferences, are opposed to what Shastra says. But because it's a pramana, I'm willing to look at it. So I'm willing to do Shravanam over and over again and Mananam. Remove these differences. Shraddha is Shravanasya Karanam. Without Shraddha, I will not do Shravanam, and I'll certainly not do it with the right attitude. No, Shastra says you must question. Yes, Shastra says you must question, but question with the right attitude. The same Shastra from which I am going to understand the truth about the self also says question what you hear. So it is a pramana. It is telling me something which is against whatever I think I have understood and whatever many other people are telling me. And it is something which I can understand. I don't have to accept it blindly. It'll take time, it'll take effort, and it will take Ishvara's grace. Without that grace, there is no understanding. Why do I say that? I have a Shraddha. I have done a lot of Shravanam. I make the best effort within the limitations that I have to understand that then what happens? I am not able to do it. I am not able to understand. Either because I'm not able to do Shravanam, when the Shravanam time comes, something else happens, I'm not able to go to the class. In the class, I have backache. So my attention is not on what is being said, but on my back. Even after I've heard my own preconceived ideas, knowledge are so strong that they're not allowing the new knowledge to come in. I have friends who argue with me, and even though I have done Shravanam, there are always elements of doubt, and they strengthen those elements of doubt and make me not understand. All these things are possible. Some are within you. Some are outside of you in terms of other people, other bhutas, and some you can't even explain. Every time I go to the class for Shravanam, something or the other prevents it or makes me not understand. I want to understand, but I can't understand. When you go to do Shravanam, one is still an Ajnani. And as long as one is an Ajnani, we cannot understand without Ishvara's grace. The commitment that we need to put in is our effort. Shankaracharya says in Vishnu Sahasranam, defines bhakti as tatparata, a commitment. Despite all the obstacles, I don't give up. Because I seek Ishvara's grace to remove these obstacles. You saw adhyatmika obstacles, adhibhautika obstacles, or adhidaiva obstacles. I have to find ways of getting out of them. Therefore, bhakti, a prayer to Ishvara, a prayer for Ishvara's grace, which will slowly remove these obstacles, becomes non-negotiable. Bhakti is not another path to moksha. There is only one path to moksha, jnanam. That's why we say Shraddha is what? knowing that I will know eventually if I keep trying. If I keep doing Shravanam and Mananam, I will know. And that I want to know is the key. It's not I want to believe. I want to know. I'm a Jignasu. I know I will know in time. Achirena. And to get there, I need the help of Ishvara. Therefore, bhakti, a commitment to keep at it, keep seeking Ishvara's grace for one to gain this. When we start a class every day, that's why we have this prayer. Hey Bhagavan, may I have all the necessary strengths, physical, mental, in order that I can do Shravanam and Mananam and gain that knowledge. Bhadram karne vishruniyama devaha. Bhadram pashyema. May mind not be disturbed by things which are inauspicious. We have sthiraihi angaihi. Prayer becomes necessary. Bhakti becomes necessary. Whether I am at a stage of being a karma yogi or at a stage of being a sannyasi, bhakti is non-negotiable. Many of you know Vishnu Sahasranamam by heart. Many of you chant it regularly. Some of the verses in that are very beautiful, where bhakti is concerned. This whole Vishnu Sahasranamam is where Yudhishthira goes to Bhishma on his deathbed and asks him 6 questions. And one of the questions he asks is, Ko dharma sarva dharmanam bhavata paramo matah kim japan muchyate jannat jantur janma samsara bandhanat. What will free me? Like that, he asked 6 questions. In fact, if you want to know Vishnu Sahasranamam and understand the meanings and see what the Bhashyam says, there are classes going on. At the moment, they are suspended because of problems of internet connection, but soon they'll resume. If anybody wants to know what it says and why it says what it says, please join the class. Which Bhishma says, Yesha me sarva dharmanam dharmodikatamo matah yad bhaktya pundarikaksham tavair sainnaras sada. Your all dharmas, the biggest dharma is prayer to Ishvara. And like that in many places, in Vishnu Sahasranamam, before we actually begin the Sahasranamam, Bhishma tells Yudhishthira that without that bhakti expressed in many forms, it will be very difficult. Vishnu nama sahasram me Shurupapa bhayapaham. Where does bhayam come from? Bhayam comes from ignorance, non-understanding. Ignorance means this is what Shastra says, this is the conclusion I have arrived at, which is a wrong conclusion. That conclusion that I have arrived at is the cause of my fear. Because I and everything else is non-I. Where is the problem here? The definition of I. Where do I draw the line and say I? So that everything else is non-I. The moment that line is drawn, there is cause for fear. That line will always be there, irrespective of what my understanding of I is. Yes, it will be there. But when you understand, and that's all that all of our Upanishads are telling us, that there are two orders of reality. One is you, the Satyam, and the other is everything else which is Mithya, non-self-existing. And in this Mithya, non-I, everything that you thought was I is already included in that. The body, mind, sense, everything. Then there's no question of fear. In the waking time, whatever fear I may have faced in a dream world, it's a different order of reality, has no relevance. The dream world, whatever fear came because of the I and non-I, in the dream world becomes one in the waking world. Therefore, there is no fear. So, Bhishma tells them, best dharma is prayer to Ishvara. And the best way to get rid of any fear is understanding. And for that understanding, bhakti becomes an essential part. Without that bhakti, there is no understanding. Because we have constraints. We are ajnanis. The day my jnanam arises, I don't really need Ishvara. Why? What is that jnanam? There is no difference between Ishvara and I. The day that jnanam becomes firm, becomes aproksha jnanam, where's the question of prayer? Where's the question of Ishvara? Who is to pray to whom? But till that time, there is a jnanam. It sounds all correct when you listen to it in the class, but later on, again, the same problem arises. That is one of the crux problems. Because I have a sharira and the manas. It is not I. I have a sharira. I have a manas. And those have to interact with other sharira and other manas. And in that interaction, I have to identify with the sharira and with this manas. Even after I have done so much shravanam, where everything looks clear, when I go out and I still have to do interactions with others, because there is one sharira, another sharira, another sharira, another sharira. That's how the Jagat is. In other words, even after I wake up, I still have to deal with the dream world. So I need that. But now I deal with knowledge. Now I deal with the absolute knowledge that there is only one Satyam. That Satyam is I. That Jnanam is I. That Anantam is I. then even though I need to interact with the rest of the world, with this form of body, with this form of mind, it doesn't have any effect. That's the difference between a jnani and an ajnani. How do I move to that state? We are all born ajnanis. And if you are born with a certain type of punya, you have access to Shastra and Shraddha in the Shastra. You have enough punya, you have a guru. But another type of punya is required to remove all the obstacles. I may have, I may not have. In most cases, as human beings, we don't have that punya to the level which clears us completely of all the obstacles. And to clear the obstacles, bhakti becomes necessary. Very funny. I keep saying this, but think about it again and again. That bhakti at different levels, at the highest level, is bhakti is ananya bhakti. Hey Bhagavan, you are great, you are Ananda Data, you are the giver of everything. So sometimes please give me some Ananda, please give me some this. But eventually, please make me understand why I am you. Ananya Bhakti. Make me understand. I have Shraddha. Shraddha because Shastra now says I am you. But I can't feel it. I can't understand. Highest form of prayer. Give me Ananda, give me Sukha, give me money, give me this, give me that. But that is not my primary prayer. My primary prayer is, tell me how I can understand I and you are the same. To do that, this prayer is what? It's only a karma. Why are we saying this? I have certain papas that I've come with, which are my obstacles, which are preventing me from gaining this knowledge. I have Shraddha, I have everything else. But something is preventing from doing that, and that is my own papa karma. So what do? I do another karma. A karma to counteract the papa karma. Not only do I come here with papa karmas, because I'm a Mishra. I'm a human being means I have punya karma and papa karma. I am a Mishra. Not only in Mishra there in UP, but also all of us are Mishra. And I have to now do karma to try and counteract some of that. That karma has produced some karma phala. That karma phala is preventing me from gaining this knowledge. And therefore, mukti. Now I have to do some other karma which will produce a phala which will negate at least most of these. Not only that, every day as a human being, I am committing more papa karma. Every day, some knowingly, some unknowingly, I am committing papa karma. Very simple definition of papa karma. Any karma which causes himsa to another being is papa karma. How much I do every day. That papa karma that I do keeps on adding to my problems, obstacles. I have to counter them. If not decrease what I came with, at least let me not increase them, my obstacles. Therefore, nitya karma becomes important. Every day I have to do certain nitya karma, puja, certain dhyanam, certain japa, all of these. And we saw that this kind of karma, there are two types of karma that is talked about. Ishta karma and purta karma. Karma which is prescribed by Veda. Sandhyavandanam, Agnihotra, whatever else. Simple lighting a lamp and doing a puja and a prayer in the morning. Nitya karma. And some naimittaka karma. And then there is purta karma, reaching out karma. Every karma that I do to help, support, assist other beings. One is karma that I do which causes himself to other beings. That's papa karma. But I also can do karma for other beings, any being, trees, plants, animals, other human beings, whatever else, which should produce punya karma. Prime Minister Modi keeps talking about it in the environmental conferences. We have Pancha Mahayagnya. Yajna, which you have to do as a Manushya for the environment, for the trees, for the animals, for other human beings, for Pitrus, for Rishis. All prescribed. And this Purta Karma I do. In a place like, hot place like Delhi or perhaps dry heat like Delhi, any wayfarer in summer would appreciate a glass of cold water. Nothing very big, but what a great satisfaction for that being, what a great punya. So many people have this pyavu in the house. So what happens is that you have a big house, you have a bungalow on the boundary wall, you create a little space where there's a tap. Anybody going can drink water and you keep supplying water in your excellent punya. Any creation of a water body is a punya, a lake. Unfortunately, what happens is today in a place like Bangalore, which had thousands of lakes, some natural, some created by the kings, which are being taken up for artha. Builders take over the lake and build multi-story buildings. Water bodies are gone. Annadanam, considered wonderful papa karma, punya karma. So we do all these daily punya karma. One is this kind of doing. But when you say ishta karma, we can do it in three ways. We can physically do some work using the sharira, kaika karma, like we do puja, lighting a lamp, doing puja, doing archana. It's a physical activity. Doing sandhyavandanam, it's a physical activity. And that karma, physical karma, usually includes also other types of karma, produces your punya karma, punya phala. And that punya phala is not for gaining more material wealth or gaining more whatever, but gaining enough antakarana shuddhi, which will reduce the obstacles in my way to gaining the jnana. Then there is vachika karma. We say prayer. Say it loud. Gananam Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavino Pumastavatramam Eshtadajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shanman Notibisi Sadhanam. It's a prayer only. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koki Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurme Deva Sarvakari Sarvada. May all the vignas be removed. Prayer. So vachika karma that also produces punya phala. And there is manasika karma, japa. A wonderful thing to do. All these have phala in the form of antakarana shuddhi, But all of these also have a drishtaphala. That itself is a big thing. Every time you do any puja, every time you sit and chant the Bhagavad Gita or any other, there is a sense of well-being, drishtaphala. But more important than that is the adrishtaphala in the form of antakarana shuddhi. And there is manasika karma, which we'll talk more about in the next class. These karma, irrespective of what else a human being does, as long as you're a human being, as long as you are subject to ajnanam, which is the root cause of every kind of dukkha, every kind of grief. Bhakti, seeking Ishvara's anugraha, Ishvara's grace, at some level, give me good health, give me sufficient wealth to not feel pressurized, give my child enough buddhi to take the right decisions, make sure that my daughter is happy, make sure my parents live a full, healthy life. Extend it further. Make sure that everybody who is suffering for any reason, anywhere in the world, may their suffering be reduced as much as possible. Hey, simply because you pray is not going to happen. Is it going to happen? Yes, it is. They have come with a certain papa karma phala. But on their behalf, you can also do a prayer. May their pain be reduced as much as possible. Extend it as much as you want. May all the Ukrainians who are suffering these days, may their suffering reduce. May all those people in China who are going through COVID and all the problems associated with it, even though the country does not want to tell the world what's happening, may their pain be reduced as much as possible. Those prayers, it is good for who are you praying for? It's good for you. Good for you because that's what gives you antakarana shuddhi. All the disturbance that comes within, physical pain disturbance, mental disturbance, all of them, may they be shanta. May they become quiet. That prayer for removing all the obstacles, part of the bhakti, which I have to have as long as I have ignorance in the system. That ignorance will be reduced, will be removed, not reduced. There's nothing to reduce, it will be removed, layer after layer of ignorance. Only by knowledge. Ignorance is opposed to knowledge. Knowledge comes, ignorance goes. But knowledge doesn't come. Something is blocking it. And to remove that block, all those blocks, Ishvara Bhakti is necessary so that my understanding becomes clear. I'm also not worried too much whether that understanding comes today or tomorrow or next Janma. Therefore, Bhakti is tatparyata. Commitment. I know that I am going to do that. I know because I have Shraddha in the Shastra, and Shastra says, you do this, you will get the result. Therefore, I do it simply because it will have the result, and the result is Antakarana Shuddhi, that Antakarana Shuddhi which prevents all the disturbance that are there, which brings the disturbance down, which brings Shanti to the disturbance, physical disturbance, backaches, chest pain, all other kind of problems, mental disturbance, some problem or the other keeps on. Sometimes you know that you're disturbed, but you don't know why. May all those be quietened so that I'm in a frame of mind where I can get this knowledge without it being blocked out. That tranquility, that Shantam I want. Therefore, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.